So I'm going to explain how to fill out a birdability site review. And here we go. So Birdability is committed to making the birding community and the outdoors accessible, safe, welcoming, and inclusive for everybody and everybody. Our mission is to remove barriers to access for birders with mobility challenges, blindness or low vision, intellectual or developmental disabilities, including autism, mental illness, being deaf or hard of hearing, and other health concerns. And I'm currently, I have 3 autoimmune diseases. So I have fibromyalgia, Raynaud's, and ME. So those are my health concerns. And those concerns actually help me get started in birdability in order to bring accessible birding sites. And if the website is down below there, if you ever want to go to birdability.org and actually want to take a look at what they have to offer. So I'm a birdability captain, and so I am in charge of making sure that we can get our sites up on the birdability map. So when you go to the Birdability website on the desktop, this is what the web page looks like. At the top, you'll see this thing called Birdability Map, and that's where you're going to go click to get to the Birdability map. And this is what the map looks like. When you scroll down on the web page, you'll see this map. This map was designed by Birdability and National Audubon Society in order to locate possible accessible birding sites. As you can see, we just have a few sites on the map. So my goal is to go around Nebraska, help organizations put their site on the map. I'm here to explain how to fill out a birdability site review so that if you have a favorite site that you go to all the time, you can fill out a site review too. I'm also to encourage people to get out there and go birding, even if you're needing some accessible sites. Now, if you zoom, this Zoom will be how to fill out a site review for your favorite birding site. And throughout this Zoom program, I'm going to use Branch Oak Lake as an example. So if I mention Branch Oak Lake, that's why, okay? So then now this is what it will look like from your phone, okay? So obviously I'm showing you 2 different sites. One would be the desktop and one is from your phone. You can actually fill out a birdability site review from either your phone or your desktop. And there's going to be a button that says submit a birdability site review, and you're just going to click that. And then when you get to your site review, like this is our desktop page, it's going to ask you, so you can do, and there's also a paper format that you can print and answer the questions before you submit it electronically if you don't feel comfortable filling it out right away. Here it will ask for the name of the birding location and if there's a website for you to link. So if I went to add the name, I would add Branch Oak Lake, and then on number 2 it says please provide a link to the area, trail, or sanctuary website. I would just link the website of Branch Oak in that box. Now, the next question, which is number 3, is drop a pin at the location of the trailhead, blind, or observation platform you're at. So it's based off of the Google GPS. So when you click on it, at first you're going to see this very far away North America, South America map. You really need to scroll in. And that's not what you're going to use for a pin. And then when you scroll in, obviously Branch Oak is showing a little ways above Lincoln. That's still not close enough. So you don't want to use that as your pin. And then the next over is very close up. It has like the roads to the marina, that's actually Branch Oaks Marina where the GPS is locating. And that's how close to the pin you want the pin to be if you're going to drop the pin for the platform on there. Then now, we're going to use Branch Oak Lake as a car birding site. If you are, some people like me can't usually get out of the vehicle when we're like not able to move a whole lot, or if you're like me, I have since I have ME, I don't have I can't control my body temperature anymore. So if it's a really cold day, I'm not going to go get outside and try to sit in that cold. So I'm going to sit in my car. And so if you can watch your favorite birds by a car from the site that you're looking at, like right here, the picture is of Branch Oak. Looking onto the Branch Oak Lake, and obviously I would click yes right here, and that's where there will be a pop-up box that says, please share more information about car birding opportunities at this location. So I said, Branch Oak Lake has excellent parking areas that provide scenic views of the lake for watching birds such as gulls, ducks, herons, pelicans, and even bald eagles. So you just elaborate on the question, on the previous question. So if we go to the next one, like this here is parking. So number 9, it says, if you notice, there's a red asterisk. Those questions have to be asked in order to actually submit the Birdability site. If it doesn't have a red asterisk, that means you can skip it and you don't have to answer it. But on part 2, it says, is there parking available? If I click yes, then this pop-up box onto the right has all these choices. So then, so if I'm going to click it, it says there is a pull-off area for car birding. I would probably click that yes. And there are assigned regular size accessible parking spaces, and that you just click how many is yes for that site. And this is for bathrooms. So if it says, are there bathrooms? Yes. And then B pops up and it says, what bathroom information would you fill out for this? So here's this one, wheelchair accessible portable restrooms are available. And then there are all gender bathrooms. So there's male and female, and so then if I'm going to elaborate, now Branch Oak has multiple areas. And so this is where I'm going to elaborate those multiple areas. So like area 12 has no sink or mirror in the bathroom. It does have handrails. Staff keeps it unlocked 24 hours. Bathroom at the marina location has wheelchair access sinks in the bathroom, which you can see the picture of. And area 4 restroom is open when water is on, and water is turned off mid-November. So also, if you notice, I put in the times the bathrooms are open, because that's really essential to those with accessible challenges. And so these comment boxes are where you want to elaborate different areas of the site that you're doing. And Branch Oak has multiple sites, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Some sites may just be only one, and that's good. You can just comment on the one trail or the one bird blind or the one spot. And so here I am, I'm writing these comments. Now, next is trail surface, grassy trail, or concrete trail or gravel trail. They're going to ask you questions about what type of trails are at the site. And it's always good to know, and it's also going to ask you the width of the trail. As you can see, all these widths, the gravel width, that's pretty good. That's more than 36 inches. The concrete trail, that's more than 36 inches, and the grassy trail, definitely more than 36 inches. So someone with a wheelchair can actually use either one, all three of these trails pretty comfortably. They'll also ask you if there's a slope. And as you can see, there's a slight slope, but there's those handrails for the concrete trail to help you. The grassy trail doesn't have any slope, so it's flat. So you just put in flat for that. And the gravel one doesn't have any slope either. And that's also to let us know, like, if someone may have issues with their wheelchair, or if they're on crutches, or if they may have if they're having walking issues, then knowing the slope is really good. So the next question they'll ask you is about services available at this location. So if we go through this list for Branch Oak, Visitor Center or Nature Center, you wouldn't mark this because they don't have one. Staff or volunteers to assist with questions, yes, I would mark that box. Interpretive programs, yes, I would mark that box because sometimes they have programs, naturalist programs out there. Do they have an accessible tram or motorized tour? No, I wouldn't mark that box. Meals are available to purchase? Yes, I would mark that box because Branch Oak has a restaurant. Water fountains are available outside buildings? No, I wouldn't mark that one because they didn't have any water fountains. And then here's the next question: is accessible water fountains are no higher than 36 inches are available outside buildings? I wouldn't mark that either, because if they didn't have water fountains for this question, you probably wouldn't answer this question. Next, it says gated areas. Drive-up bird blinds are accessible if arranged ahead of time. They didn't have much gated areas, so I'm not going to mark that. And then, do they have adaptive equipment for loan? So as those outdoor wheelchairs or autism, epilepsy loaner bags, or if they have binoculars to loan out, I would mark this, but they don't have that. And then here for B, it says additional service comments. If I was going to do Branch Oak, Branch Oak Lake also offers a wheelchair accessible fishing at the marina and the restaurant. Hours to the restaurant are limited. Please check their website before going. In Area 4, they have 4 accessible camping electric sites should you desire to stay the night. And in Area 5, there's an accessible picnic shelter for picnicking at. So if they have extra accessible items such as fishing piers or picnic shelters, that's where you would put those in for additional service comments. Next is other users for trails. Another question you will come across is other users. And now, why would this be important to accessibility? Because of sensory issues. People with PTSD, autism, epilepsy, bipolar, and any anxiety issue will not want to use this site if there's a lot of people. So this is helpful for people to decide whether or not they would want to go to Branch Oak. So if their trails are being used by mountain bikes, and cyclists, I would probably put yes. Obviously, they have horses out there, so I would have yes. They don't do golf carts, so I wouldn't click that one. And inline skiers, that would be like cross-country skiers. Do they have a lot of cross-country skiers in the wintertime? And I wouldn't click on that one. Another one that goes along with other users is noise level. Again, noise that has something to do with sensory issues for people. Ongoing. So here, if I clicked it for Branch Oak, they do have loud boats, so I would definitely mark that. And then large groups of people often use this location for social gatherings. I would definitely mark that as well. Now, weekends, and then here in the comments, this is where I was going to put in, like, when is it the busiest? Okay, so weekends are the busiest here at the lake. You may have more noise at the marina with boats coming in and out of the water, and large social gatherings may be evident on the weekends at the marina and Area 4 where the picnic shelters were, right? So the best time would probably be to come during the week when it's quieter. So if anybody who's struggling with PTSD, bipolar, autism, don't want to be around a lot of people or around a lot of noise, because that might offset their illness, then this will help them decide, okay, I'd much rather go to Branch Oak on a Tuesday than on a Saturday. Maintenance. This is a great question. It's going to ask you if the trails or ramps are plowed frequently in the winter. Are the grassy trails mowed? Do they keep the tree branches? Tree branches do not encroach over the surface of the trail below the height of 7 feet. So basically, you're one to know if the trails are maintained good enough. And a lot of times I like to tell people, organizations, that if they can't see that on their website, so if you don't have something on your website that says, oh yes, our trails are plowed of snow so you can come out and hike, you probably should think about doing that. That is just an easy way for us people to actually go to your site and go, well, it snowed on last night. Are you guys having the sidewalks cleaned off in time so I can go out and do my bird watching if that's what I want to do for the day? So that is just something to keep in mind when you're going through this. This one is not a red asterisk. So if you don't know the answer, it's okay to not fill this one out. It won't harm you at the end. Here, final thoughts. This is where you would put your links. So let's say you have a link to eBird or All Trails or the Nebraska Birding Guide. This is where you would put your links. Also, if you already know what type of birds are found at Branch Oak, you can put those here in this box, question mark. This also, who to contact for additional accessible questions. Some of us, a lot of these questions will not cover everything. So if I have an issue, let's say I have an issue, let's say no one answered about the bathroom availability, and I am going to come out and I would like to know if the bathrooms are going to be open. This would be a great place to put in who you can contact and call. So then I can call and say, hey, are the bathrooms going to be open today? So that way that will help me out determine if I can come out to the site as well. Here it says, please rate the location overall accessibility. 5 would be wonderful if we can get all sites to be 5, but you're not going to get all sites to be 5. But if you have a site that's somewhere in 2 and 3, that might be something to think about, is like maybe, oh, we might have to do a little bit more to make our site more accessible. Here at the very bottom of the submit the form, it's photos. You are allowed to submit 8 photos. And then photo permission. So if Game and Parks was going to add photos, they would click this if they would be okay for National Audubon to use these photos as well. If Game and Parks wouldn't want to use the photos, then they would just not click on this. And then here is alternative text. So you do have to add alternative text to your pictures. And why is that? So up in the top left-hand corner, there's this image. It looks like a paper that has a folded down corner. So on a website, an image that doesn't load correctly, that's what it would look like. This is also what a reading device for the blind will detect when reading a website. So every image must have an alt attribute. Images without an alt attribute are likely inaccessible. And in some cases, images may be given an empty alt attribute value, sometimes called a null. And I got this from webaim.com. So if you have a website that you're not sure is accessible, WebAIM will actually, you can link your website into WebAIM, and they can actually tell you if your site is actually accessible. So which is a really cool feature. So here in the top right hand corner, you have Henry VIII, King of England. So if I type in, that's the alt text, that's what's going to show up and behind the image on the website. You're not going to see the alt text, but whenever a blind person is going to use a reading device, that's actually what's going to say on the reading device. Image King Henry VIII of England. And so when you type it in, you're just going to type it in King Henry VIII of England. Now, alt text is dependent on the context of the picture, and never use the word image, graphic, or picture before describing a picture. Also, alt text is not the same as a caption. Okay, so if there's a caption already there, you don't want to put the same words in the caption in your alt text. You want the alt text to be direct and to the point, so that the reading device for the blind can actually read that. Let's also, it has to have a capital letter and a period at the end when you type it in to that previous slide there. Just a couple of things, few things to keep in mind. The site will alert you if you don't have all the information plugged in. So if you miss one of those red asterisk questions, it won't let you submit the site review until you go back and answer that. So that's a really nice thing to keep in mind. So you feel like, oh, I may have forgotten the question. It will let you know if you did. When you access the site, so if you go back to the map, I'm going to try to go back to the very first maybe slide here. Yeah, so if you go back to the map here and you click on these yellow pins, it's going to give you the very first site review that was the most recent site review that was done. So let's say Bob did the site review for Rose Sanctuary, and then Carla comes back in and does another one. You're going to see Carla's site review first, and then it will show you Bob's site review. So that's what that is about there. And then corrections to site review must be turned in to me and Birdability. For some reason, corrections to the site review haven't been brought to the front. We have to do it through the back side of the web. And so if you feel like you've submitted a site review and it's not right, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I should have answered this, you just need to send me an email and I can relay that to National Audubon Society and get that fixed for you. We're trying to get that process up to the front end so you can actually go back in and change your own site review, but we haven't got that done yet. So that's just something to keep in mind at the moment. And the site doesn't have to be 100% accessible. So if it is your favorite birding site and you're going through these questions and you're like, man, this isn't an accessible site, don't get upset. This is to let us know and to bring awareness to places that might need some help or might need some grant money to get them going to bring up their accessibility. And so that's my presentation there. Let me stop share here.
Great, thank you, Cassandra.
Yes.
So if you do have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll get to them in just a little bit. But next up we have Olivia.
All right, let me start screen sharing. All right, am I on the right screen or am I on?
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so jumping off of what Cassandra was talking about, we are also developing a Nebraska birding guide website. So I just want to kind of highlight what this website will have and how it ties into the Birdability website and map. So Birdability is an excellent resource for learning about detailed site features and accessibility of birding locations. And if you're interested in learning of other site details like ecological regions, habitats, the birds that can be observed there, nearby communities and more, that's where the Nebraska Birding Guide website will come in. And this will be, we'll release this website in the spring. Similar to the Birdability map, the Nebraska Birding Guide website has an interactive map with some of the best birding locations that are in the state. And really most of the sites that are currently on the Birdability map are also on this map as well. Now, let's say you want to visit the Birdability map and you decide you want to visit Branched Oak State Recreation Area, which we just learned from Cassandra is a great birding by vehicle site. But before you go, you want to know a little bit more about the habitats and the birds that you could see there. And that's where the Nebraska Birding Guide website will come in. This site, Branched Oak, is one of the top 20 birding sites in Nebraska because of the large water body size. Attracts many of the birds that Cassandra talked about, like pelicans, waterfowl, bald eagles, and a lot of forest birds along those forested trails. So when you click on Branched Oak, similar to the Birdability site, a little pop-up window will show a different type of information. So it'll give you a description of Branched Oak as a birding site, the ecological region that it's in, some of the notable birds that you can view there, where to go once you're there, if there's a fee associated with it, the nearby communities, as well as links to eBird. So it'll take you to the bar chart for Branched Oak, which kind of shows the most frequent birds, as well as some rare ones and when they occur there. And it'll also link to the Branched Oak website too, which will give you more information about camping and other activities at this site. If you visit the Birdability site and you decide you want to go birding and you want to learn more about the ecological regions that site is in, you can learn about the tallgrass prairie where Branched Oak is located. You can learn about the sandhills where you can view prairie chickens, shortgrass prairie, and the mixed grass prairie. So let's say you visit the Birdability map and you see row sanctuaries on there. So you want to learn a little bit more about the mixed grass prairie and the habitats around the sanctuary. So you can go to the Nebraska Birding Guide website, and I'll give you some of the descriptions of the ecological region, the characteristic birds there, and I'll also break down some of the major habitats within those ecoregions and describe the birds and unique qualities of those areas. The website will also feature some of the notable birds found in the state, like the greater prairie chickens, burrowing owls, sandhill cranes, and where you can view those. And then if you found this new passion of birding or you're interested in trying birding, there'll be tips and tricks on how to bird, guides to some equipment like birding apps and field guides, binoculars. If you want to attract birds to your own backyard so you don't have to leave your house, there'll be tips on bird feeders that you can put out, bird baths, what plants to put out. And then if you don't even want to leave your sofa or, leave and go out into the cold, there's links to bird cams that are within the state. So the peregrines nesting on top of the building in Omaha, some of the cameras that will display the sandhill crane migration and more. So once again, birding is for everybody. And with these resources, you can find much of the information you need to plan your next birding adventure. But we do need your help. So there are, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like less than 10 sites in Nebraska currently on the map. And we need your help to get more of these sites on the birdability map so people know where to go and what areas are accessible. So we hope that you're able to help us, and if you have any questions or need help creating site reviews, Cassandra is very knowledgeable. I went out with her to Branched Oak and she knows her stuff, and I'm sure if you get in touch with either one of us, I will probably point you to her because she knows exactly what she's talking about, and we want to see more sites on the birdability map in Nebraska. So thank you all, and yeah, we can take some questions.
Great, thank you, Olivia. So you can either put your questions in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and just ask away. But really quick, Cassandra, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit, just a couple minutes about what the vision is for birdability in Nebraska. What are you hoping to see happen here and how we can help?
Yes, so obviously the first thing is to get sites on the birdability map. That's the most, right now, that's the most crucial thing to do. And then second is to actually start holding accessible events. I know the Bird Conservancy is having one tomorrow. And I know that I'm trying to currently plan another one here for the next month of November. So it's just the goal is to, Birdability's goal is to get people out there and feel comfortable birding. And some sites are not accessible enough for us to go out and bird at. And so raising awareness by putting these sites on the map is one of the key ways to get that done. And then starting these outings where people that are like me can just go out and be together in a community, feeling like they belong in a community of birders. The other thing is eventually Birdability would like to start helping places like vets and rehabilitation centers build accessible birding sites if they don't have one on their property. And that's the long-term goal for Birdability. So
Great, thank you for sharing that.
yeah, you're welcome.
And I'm just wondering if people want to contact you, would you mind putting your contact info in the chat for them? Do you have a good email? And then I was also thinking, should we share the Facebook page in the chat as well? The Accessibility Nebraska Outdoors
yeah.
one? Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I
grab that
started-
link really quick.
Okay. So I started a Facebook group called Nebraska Accessibility in Nebraska Outdoors, and that is for people who have accessibility challenges or caregivers of people with accessible challenge or physical therapists that take care of people with accessible challenge. So they have a way to communicate events. I noticed when I was at my previous job, I was like very downhearted that that some of us, I homeschool, so I belong to a chronic homeschool co-op, and some of us are like, why isn't there more out there for us? Well, and I begin to think, well, there probably is. We just don't have a place to showcase it from every part of Nebraska. So I created that Facebook group so we can share events and also to share actual posts about technology that's coming out for accessibility to be out in the outdoors. I know Ponca just rented 2 outdoor wheelchairs to be rented out, which is totally awesome. They have these huge wheels on them. They look like they're tank wheels, actually, I think. But just the new technology that seems to be coming out too. That was another way of getting that relayed to everybody. So if you want to join that Facebook group, please do so.
Okay, well, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and ask. We'll stay on for a few minutes for those of you who do, and otherwise, thank you to Cassandra and Olivia for sharing with us about birdability in Nebraska. And Olivia, I am so excited about how the Birding Trails website is going to tie into birdability. I think that's great.
Yes, and I think I forgot to mention, we will be linking to the Birdability site. So the more sites we can get on the Birdability map in Nebraska, the more links we can tie in. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, so thank you for everyone for stopping in tonight. And yeah, we'll see you later. Happy birding.